Hi, I'm Rose with today's Tuesday teaching tip. Today's tip is the final in a series of lessons that I've been sharing with you called Everyday Editing. With Everyday Editing, remember that this is a way to teach the conventions of language, your grammar, parts of speech, your punctuation, your capitalization, all of the rules that govern writing. And so with everyday editing, it's a real authentic way of teaching your writers and readers to notice what real writers do when you're reading and how to use what they do in your own writing. And so you're kind of looking in depth at some of their writing. You're picking apart the sentences into their basic parts, and then you're going to use them as models in your own writing. And so today is going to be two lessons in one. One of them is really quick, and it's invitation to write. And that's basically now inviting your students to use this sentence, a sentence like this one, to use this sentence as a model for a sentence in their own writing. And so remember, we were looking at this sentence, and it has prepositions and it has pronouns in it. Those are the two main ingredients in this particular one. And so the prepositions and pronouns in this manner is something that you want to see them using in their writing. And so that's the invitation to write. So what we learn, we put into practice. And so there's that real world application. You're going from learning this lesson and then using it in your writing. All right, so the other part is a little bit longer, and it's the invitation to edit. So now you can get a grade in a worksheet type fashion. You can do this verbally. You can get an oral grade from them. It doesn't have to be written. It could be a conversation between you and your student. And so you can take down notes about what they said. And so let me show you, go through this with you. So this is the invitation to edit, and it's uncovering how writers communicate with writers. After seeing the correct sentence, your model sentence right here, students identify what has changed as each sentence is uncovered separately. So you're going to have it covered, and you're going to show them the first sentence. So our model sentence was, she tucked her beak beneath her wing. Now this next sentence says, she put her beak beneath her wing. Now this put right here is different than our model sentence of tucked. If you listen to that sentence, she put her beak beneath her wing. There's nothing wrong with it. It doesn't so much change the meaning, and it definitely doesn't change the sentence structure, because tucked is a verb, put is a verb. They're both past tense, so that doesn't change. But what does change is a little bit, not so much the meaning, but the feeling of the word. And so I'm going to cross out the word put, because that's the word that's different, or that's the difference from this sentence to that sentence. And I'm going to write the word tucked. So there is my edit. It shouldn't be put, it should be tucked. Now it's not that simple. Now's the second part of it. Why is that change made? So you're now getting into the mind of the writer. I don't know Kate DiCamillo, who wrote the book Louise, the Adventures of a Chicken, where this sentence came from which this sentence came. And so I have to get in the mind of her as a writer and decide for myself and for my teacher who's going to grade this paper why Kate DiCamillo chose tucked instead of put. Well, in this part of the story, because you have access to the book, or whatever book you're using these sentences and getting these sentences from, you have access to the rest of the story. And in this part of the story, she is going to sleep. She went on this long adventure. She's back home, and she tucked her beak beneath her wing. So me as a writer, because again, you're looking at your students, you want them to look through the eyes of a writer, because they're writers, and decide why Kate did this. So I think as a writer, she chose tucked because she was going to take a nap. And so saying put her beak is correct, but the word tucked is a little bit more descriptive, and it kind of evokes a feeling of being tucked into bed, going to sleep. And so tucked was used that way. That would be a really long explanation here. So I would say in my explanation, she used, or the verb tucked, sloppy handwriting, is used to give the reader a better sense of going, oh, my handwriting's terrible, going to sleep, period. All right, again, excuse my handwriting. So here, chicken scratch, she tucked, the verb tucked is used to give the reader a better sense of Louise going to sleep. And so that would be my complete answer. All right, so the next one. She tucked her beak under her wing. Well, the difference between this sentence and my model sentence is the word under. So I would cross out the word under and I would write beneath. All right, so there's the difference there. Instead of under, it should be beneath. Now, again, she tucked her beak under her wing. That doesn't change the sentence structure. It doesn't really change the meaning. So why would Kate DiCamillo decide to use the word beneath? Well, that's what your writer has to figure out. I think, as a writer, I think she used tucked beneath her wing because it just sounds better. It sounds more sophisticated. Louise is a lady of adventure. She's gone to different countries. You'll see if you ever read this book. And she's a world traveler. So she didn't just tuck her beak beneath her wing. Kate DiCamillo decided to say she tucked her beak beneath her, not just under, beneath her wing, because it's a more descriptive preposition. All right, so again, your students are now having to not only say why, but it's kind of twofold, getting in the mind of the writer, but also using that preposition words. We learned about prepositions this week, so I need to make sure in my answer, this beneath and under are prepositions, that I write that in my answer. So beneath, the preposition beneath is used, the preposition beneath is used because, and then you'd fill it out. Louise is a very sophisticated chicken, and beneath sounds like more of a sophisticated word than under. And I would take that as a great answer from one of my students. All right, so the next one, she tucked her beak beneath her wing. Nothing wrong with it, except for that punctuation right there. So that punctuation mark right there changes the entire sentence in that it evokes feeling. People think that, oh, exclamation point means that it's yelling. Well, no, it doesn't necessarily. It just means it's evoking some feeling. She tucked her beak beneath her wing. Well, I'm not yelling, but I am putting a lot of feeling in that sentence, and that's not how it was supposed to be constructed. So this sentence doesn't need an exclamation point, it needs a period here, because this sentence is not supposed to evoke any feeling here other than the feeling of tired and sleepy, because Louise just came back from an adventure and she's tired and sleepy, and so it's a period there. So I would write the exclamation point should be a period, because this sentence does not evoke any feeling, or this is not a feeling type of sentence. It's not an exclamatory sentence. It is a simple sentence about Louise going to sleep. So you're asking your student to correct it, to edit it, but then also why should it be a period there instead of an exclamation point? And so that's that twofold that you're getting out of this one invitation to edit sentence here. And then the last one, she tucked she beak beneath her wing. Well, the second she here should be her. She tucked her beak beneath her wing. Well, if the she is there, it does change the sentence and it does make it incorrect. And so that definitely has to be changed. And we made that change. But again, the twofold part is, why do we make that change? Both she and her are pronouns. She and her are pronouns. So why can't it be she? She tucked she beak, well, her beak, because her is a special type of pronoun. It is a possessive pronoun. Her shows possession. Whose beak? Her beak. She didn't tuck one of the other chicken's beaks beneath her wing. She tucked her beak. And so we don't need just a regular pronoun here. We need a possessive pronoun. So she should be the possessive pronoun, her, to show ownership of the beak, or whose beak it was that she tucked beneath her wing. And so it needs to be a possessive pronoun there. All right, so that is just a sample of one sentence and the end of the lessons on everyday editing. Now, this is a lot to take in these short little increments of lessons that I share with you. So if you're interested in learning how to use this during your language arts block, remember this can be used with a curriculum, an existing curriculum that you have. You don't have to throw everything else out. This is just a good way to get your students engaged in writing and having these lessons stick with them so that they're there then using these rules of writing, these lessons, these parts of speech, these more sophisticated sentences in their own writing. And so you don't have to reinvent anything. And if you're interested in this and learning a little bit more about it and how to begin doing this with your students, go to homeschoolfeast.com, find the Resource and Retreat Center drop-down menu, and you can choose a writing consultation. And in the message part, let me know that you're interested in the everyday editing consultation. Until then, I'll see you next week with some new lessons that I'll share with you. Until then, happy reading and happy writing.